Hey everyone, I'm Bluey, and welcome to Season 2 of Bluey. So, what's the best way to start off a second season of an internet review show? Reviewing a movie about robots, of course. Actually, that gives me an idea. Introducing a brand new character, Mr. Robot the Robot.
Hello fellas of the internet, I'm Mr. Robot the Robot. I shall assist Blue in his reviews in any way I see fit. But not today because I'm feeling lazy. I'm gonna grab some Coke.
Mr. Robot the Robot, everybody. Anyway, let's get on with the review. Transformers is a franchise that I admire casually, though I do know hardcore fans that will banish their firstborn sons for Starscream. I love the 2007 series, Transformers Animated, but I haven't revisited in a while, and I have seen the first season of Transformers Prime, which is a great show like everyone says, but outside of that, I don't really have much experience with the TV series. But I do plan to watch more of them someday. Arguably, the most popular part of the franchise are the movies. The 80s film is praised to high heaven, the Michael Bay movies are dead horses in the film community, and today we're taking a look at the latest and possibly greatest Transformers movie, Bumblebee. Bumblebee focuses on the fan-favorite Autobot and his adventures in the 80s. Honestly, the movie sounds pretty bad on paper, being a prequel spin-off film in the 80s, and every word of that sentence sounds as corporate as Hollywood gets. The film was directed by Travis Knight, who previously directed stop-motion animated films over at Laika, like Kubo and the Two Strings and Missing Link, two of my favorite animated films ever, and has its screenplay written by Christina Hodson, who wrote the upcoming Birds of Prey movie, so we should be in good hands. Were we in good hands though? Let's take a look. The war on Cybertron forces the Autobots to flee their homes. B-127 ends up on Earth, where not Starscream ends up destroying his voice box in memory. He is found by 18-year-old mechanic and former diver, Charlie, played by Haley Seinfeld, who forms a friendship that is tested by Decepticons and military colonel Jack Burns, played by John Cena. Bumblebee is adorable in this movie. While he does play into the fish out of water tropes, they're well done to make those moments charming. Outside of that, there's not much else to say, which doesn't mean he's a bad character, far from it. He's just a simple character, which I don't mind as long as they're done well, and Bumblebee's character is done really well. The two Decepticon villains are entertaining, but have some really forgettable character designs. I think they should have went with a more well-known Decepticon for the villain, like Starscream or Soundwave. And now the humans, which many people consider to be the worst part of these movies. I don't mind the humans in Transformers, even in the movies, but I do mind them when they take away a lot of development from the Transformers, since the Transformers are characters and not Megazords on autopilot. I can safely say that in Bumblebee, the human characters and Transformers stuff are balanced. Neither stories are underdeveloped or overexposed. Charlie has a story arc of her losing her father and having troubles with her current family. This is a cliche, but the story arc is well written and acted. I feel for Charlie's struggles. Sometimes in the movies, you don't need to do something new with characters, you just need to do old things in a good way. Her family doesn't have much screen time, but their scenes are well done, especially the ones with her little brother, which had some really good laughs to be had. Charlie had a love interest, he was fine, moving on. When I heard John Cena was attached to this movie, I was worried. He just seemed like a marketing choice to pull more audiences into the theater. But watching this movie and his character on Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I can say he cares about acting. He brings a level of charm and coolness to the standard military colonel that makes for an entertaining character. There's apparently some talks and rumors to put John Cena into a new G.I. Joe movie, and I support this idea 100% after seeing this movie, since he plays that military-type character really well. Previous Transformers had big climactic battles with 5 to 7 Transformers who barely got any development and human characters that took up most of the screen time, along with plot MacGuffins, long run times, and constant things being introduced throughout the film. I mean, the 4th movie introduced dinosaur Transformers in the last 30 minutes, along with the idea that the humans can create Transformers, which were both dropped minutes after they were introduced without exploring the ideas to their full potential. Bumblebee trims the fat of previous movies, lessening the amount of characters and ideas to make an overall better experience. Now I'm not disappointed of what the movie could have done if it picked 5 of the 50 million introduced ideas and fleshed them out, but now I'm satisfied because the ideas presented are developed throughout the film without shoving another unexplored one every 5 to 10 minutes like in past films. This, with a great screenplay, is what made Bumblebee such a great movie. That and the designs of the Transformers. Speaking of, in the past, movie Transformers had complicated and modern designs, which I liked on the screen, minus a color problem we'll get into in a minute, but the toys made of these movie Transformers stunk. which I think is a problem for a toy-centric franchise. The other problem I have with the designs is the muted colors of the Autobots and overuse of gray from the Decepticons, which can make fight scenes a pain to tell of which robot is getting their Robo-Brain pulled out. But in Bumblebee, the Transformers have simplified designs and a wide array of colors. Unfortunately, the two main villains of the movie still have the overcomplicated look of the last Transformers movies, which clashes with Bumblebee's more simplified design. As you might have noticed, the Transformers designs are ripped or inspired by the original 80s cartoon, which are appealing designs, but brings me to the movie's biggest problem. The film is set in the 80s, so 80s references were inevitable, and they suck. It's already bad enough that the nostalgia pandering to the G1 crowd of the Transformers designs, but now we're pandering to the 80s crowd. The moment that broke me of the 80s referencing in this film was when Charlie's stepdad is in a car chase and says, "I saw this on Miami Vice. A line that will forever haunt me in my sleep." Okay, it's not that bad, or the worst thing ever, but when the 80s referencing does come up in the movie, I internally groan 9 times out of 10. Bumblebee cuts down on the fat and grand scale of the previous movies to give a more focused and quality story in the Transformers universe. While there are flaws like the bang over your head 80s references, they don't stop me from enjoying this charming little story about a girl and her robo-buddy that I can recommend to both Transformers fans and casual moviegoers alike. While the film did really well with critics and turned a profit, it is the lowest grossing of the recent Transformers films, which I blame on coming out at the same time as Aquaman, Mary Poppins Returns, and Spider-Verse. But all of those films still made decent cash, just not as much as they could if they had different release dates apart from each other. Before we end this video essay, I would love to give a shout out to The Asylum for making a low-budget, bad rip-off version of this movie called The Hornet and selling it for $10 at Walmart. You can better use that money to buy Power Rangers action figures.